What's up, agents? Patrick Wolf here. Welcome to another Division 2 build video. Today's build video is going to be the best damage support build for your team. Now this is going to be the perfect template and the perfect build for any players that want to give their teammates large amounts of crit damage, crit chance, raw weapon damage. There's a whole manner of utility in this build, and I'm going to showcase it in as much detail as I possibly can and explain different options. Like I always say, different missions, different situations require different components in a build. You need to try sometimes switch it up. So I will give you guys some extra options and ideas like I normally do, because certain builds, like for example going into the raid or legendary mission, requires a bit of tweaking. So just remember that all these builds are templates and ideas for you guys to work upon and change to suit your own play styles. Don't forget that. Don't just copy and paste. So we're going to go through the specialization, and then I'll go through the full explanation of how this build works. So ideally, from the title, you would understand that we're going to be giving our teammates a lot of damage. The whole point of this build is to give utility and damage to our teammates, but we are also going to be trying to put out as much damage as we possibly can, which is ideally, I would say, the best way to run this. I do understand there are other ways of utilizing damage, like for example, Future Initiative gives damage when your teammates are not, well, when you haven't taken damage yourself, or your teammates haven't taken damage, and it gives them up to 25%. But the only problem with Future Initiative, a lot of the pieces actually roll with yellows, and you wouldn't be doing a lot of damage yourself. So I wanted to make a build where you can still give high damage, but you are also doing damage yourself, killing enemies and actually helping your team properly, especially if you're in like a legendary mission where you can't afford to just be the guy hiding behind a corner giving teammates damage. So let's go through the specialization now. It's important to note you can use whatever specialization you want. Because we're going to be utilizing opportunistic, we can only really use marksman rifles and shotguns. So ideally, to be honest guys, sharpshooter would be the best to give us more headshot damage and weapon handling and things like that. But there are other options depending on what you want to give to your teammates. Like for example, demolitionist is great for your team because it gives them 5% damage to targets out of cover, which is very, very strong. So just keep that in mind. You need to kind of gauge and ask your teammates what you want to run or what they want you to run, because you can give different kinds of buffs. But for this build, we're going to be using the sharpshooter. Now remember, I just want to make a note. I tried spotter with the tactician and it doesn't work. This does not count as a pulse. I know it's deceiving, but just to quickly clarify, I tried it and it actually does not count as a pulse. We're going to be utilizing this 15% increased headshot damage because we are speccing into headshot damage. So make sure you have this activated. Another nice thing is we get 15% increased weapon stability, which is really, really good for using the SVD, which is the gun we're going to be utilizing. So make sure all of this is active. Marksman rifle damage is on and shotgun damage is on. We will also be getting rifle ammo every 10 seconds. Pulse resistance, we get extra armor while we are on cover because we don't want to be too squishy, seeing as though we want to be delivering, we want to be shooting around without going down every 5 seconds. So we want to be a bit tanky. All group members that are closer to enemies than you get 10% headshot damage, so that is great as well. Sharpshooter tactical link is a must-have. Now that we've gone through the specializations, the whole point of this build is you're going to be moving from cover to cover, dealing a lot of damage per shot with the SVD. I have found the perfect synergy for a build like this. I really, to be honest guys, I spent hours late last night going through this. So I'm actually really happy with the way this has turned out. I am very happy with this, and I hope you guys really do enjoy this build. It's so strong. So the first thing we're going to go over is what is the whole point of this build. So we are going to be utilizing the SVD. We're going to be in cover, generating stacks of weapon damage and skill damage for our teammates, firing at each individual enemy, doing damage. So never try and focus one enemy. Shoot around, proc opportunistic on each of the enemies whilst gaining stacks of damage being in cover. Just remember, spotter, I know you guys might be thinking use spotter, but that actually doesn't apply to your teammates. Just do some testing if you need to reassure yourself. So that's the whole point of this build. Staying in cover, we will be immune to explosions. We will have extra ammo because the SVDs do run out of ammo quickly. We will be doing just under 2 million a shot with the SVD ourselves, giving our teammates 15% crit chance and crit damage, an additional 12% weapon damage and skill damage, and another 10% damage to each enemy that is marked. It's just really, really good, and we can one-shot those purples. So let's have a look at the weapons, because this is going to be quite important to take note of the various pieces. Like, for example, I'm using the ammo dump holster, which is something that a lot of people don't really know exists even. So we're going to go through this. So the SVD is going to be the surplus SVD, which is one of the best variants. Now, you need to keep in mind, you can use whatever marksman rifle you want. I am not going to tell you that this is the best in slot, because it's not. There are some better options. Have a look at this. You guys, if you want to, I wouldn't recommend it, because if you're using opportunistic, you want to be spreading the buff, because it doesn't last very long. So this would be a great option. It gives you skill tiers, and you can do a lot, up to 5 million damage a shot, or the Mantis, depending on how you want to play, and also I guess how many enemies there are. But I do recommend using the SVD because of the quick fire rate, nice stability. You can constantly mark enemies. It's really, really good. Then what you want to do is have damage targets out of cover, or damage to armor, whichever one. But make sure you have vindictive. Killing an enemy with a status effect applied grants you and all allies within 15 meters 15% crit chance and 15% crit damage. So every single teammate is going to get 15% crit damage for 20 seconds, which is huge. I really do recommend utilizing this. It is really, really nice. So make sure you guys use this. It's big damage. 15% crit damage is huge. So make sure to have this on your gun. It is great. Then we're going to have a look at the secondary, which is going to be a shotgun, because obviously opportunistic requires the two. You know, it would be great if we could use the classic M1A with this build, but obviously we cannot, because it's shotguns and marksman rifles. So we have got right here this Sandman talent, which is extremely good because you can one-tap NPCs that push you. This also does a lot of damage as well, 1.3 million. It's scary how much damage you can hit with a shotgun. I do recommend utilizing it as well. Now you're probably wondering, with me using this, how am I going to mod it, and do you run out of ammo? Because you only get a certain amount of bullets in the magazine. And here is my counter to this. The ammo dump holster, which gives us 10% ammo capacity, which is very, very nice. And you also generate stacks of ammunition while you're in cover, but you will be distributing this ammo very much quickly. So it is important to have this holster, and it gives us shotgun damage. We'll get into that when we get to the pieces. So when you're modding this, guys, remember we are not stacking crit onto this build. It is strictly headshots, because that's the best way to stack damage for yourself on your gear pieces. So weapon handling, extra rounds, accuracy and stability, those are the perfect mod slots for there. I do recommend those. Then we're going to go over to the other pieces. So the main idea of this build is to stay in cover, like I said before. That is why we've got 1.1 million armor, because we don't want to be too squishy. We'll be in cover, be able to distribute the opportunistic all around. We can stay in cover the whole time, because we have got Sawyer's knee pads as well. I forgot to mention that. We cannot be staggered by explosions. And we do also have hazard protection on this build, so we can still tank a lot of the poison gas from some of the heroic missions. So it really is ideal. So, and we also get extra damage from having the knee pads, which is great. One of the best in slots. So let's go through each individual piece. We've got 2-piece Iroldi holdings because of the marksman rifle damage and the headshot damage. Now, I would recommend rolling headshot damage on everything. You don't need crit damage at all. To be honest, this would be perfect if it was hazard protection, but it doesn't really matter. Headshot damage mods, every single red mod slot, put headshot damage on. Then we're going to go to the chest piece, one of the most important things. Beautiful chest piece with almost maxed out headshot damage and weapon damage with Overwatch. So, after staying in cover for 10 seconds, increase you and your allies' total weapon and skill damage by 12% as long as you remain from cover to cover. So as long as you stay in cover, do a cover to cover move, you will be generating 12%, which is really, really strong. Now remember, the chest piece spotter is multiplicative. This is not. But spotter does not apply to your teammates unless they are stacking it themselves. It's quite situational, and I did try this. It doesn't work, obviously, as it states. So make sure you guys use this as a great talent. It's very easy to proc. It's only 10 seconds. Very easy. So the next thing is going to be the ammo dump holster. You can go and craft this from Inaya. She has got it there. Get the blueprint. Have a look. I'm not entirely sure how I acquired this blueprint, to be honest. I might have to Google it if you guys don't know, because I think it might be either a technician like project, or you go do control points. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe someone in the comments let me know, because I actually can't remember, but I did craft it from there. This is great because all other holsters only have 2 normal attributes, so this has got 3, which is great, and we get shotgun damage, and we're using shotguns, so this is perfect. Armor, ammo capacity, because you do run out of ammo for your sniper quite often, but this actually takes that away and helps us a lot. Explosive resistance is good because the knee pads don't mitigate the damage, but it mitigates you from getting staggered. So 10% headshot damage I've rolled on there as well. My headshot damage is pretty high, to be fair. Then on the backpack, one of the most important pieces, the Heroldi, again for the 2-piece weapon. Headshot weapon handling is great for the SVD because it's stability and accuracy, also reload speed. So it's very, very good for firing that weapon, because on console, if your watch level is low, your Shatek watch level is low, you might have problems spamming that weapon. So I do recommend having some weapon handling. To be honest, on the mask, when I mentioned instead of crit damage, you could actually have weapon handling as well. That would be ideal as well. It just depends on how you want to play. Opportunistic. This is quite funny because I remember in my clan we were struggling to do the 4th boss the one day, and someone literally just put opportunistic on, and we absolutely blitzed it. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I've got a little book that I've been writing notes in. It's full of 2 pages of notes on the differences in damage between using opportunistic. So if we combine all of the talents together on a crit, so Jesse was using just a not even a high damage build, just a normal build with a rifle. Okay, she was hitting to the body 593k. When I procced my gun talent, opportunistic, and the chest piece talent, it was going from 593,000 to 784,000 per shot. That is how much damage I was giving to every single teammate in the group. And imagine in the raid how much damage that ends up pushing. It's ridiculous. So it really, really does give a huge amount of damage to your teammates, and it scales and multiplies depending on whether it's headshot damage or crits. So you have to test it, but it really, really does amplify the damage a lot. So make sure to utilize this. It really, really helps. Now it's from all sources, so this is skill damage as well, so don't forget that your skill guys will be chuffed, they'll be happy as well. So make sure you guys use the SVD, because if you're using the, for example, a bolt action rifle, you shoot one guy, shoot the next guy, by the time you shoot the 3rd guy, the 1st guy is already off. So you want to be alternating between enemies, like you can see in the gameplay I'm currently showing you. You go through the enemies, you can visually see the buff. You can see the gun talent as well, proccing vindictive. So it's quite important that you need to do your job. And I think I kind of enjoy using this build because it feels like I have a job in the team. I'm not just running around firing my weapon. I feel like I'm giving so many buffs, and this is the funnest support build I've ever used. To be honest, I prefer this over my healer build because I'm giving my teammates so much, and it's just really nice. Even if you're lacking crit chance, I am giving you more crit chance, more crit damage, more weapon damage, more skill damage, and visual as well. So it's just great, and I really recommend you guys give this a go. Next up are the gloves. Now I'm going to be using the 1-piece Walker and Harris, which gives me 5% weapon damage. I have rolled weapon damage, hazard protection, and headshot damage, which is ideal. Weapon handling might be an option I could put on instead of hazard protection, but it is nice to have some. Now you can use whatever gloves you want depending on how you want to boost your build. Maybe put some, for example, use a healer hive, or put Alp Summit, or even healer guard to give yourself extra armor. It's completely up to you guys. Just a quick little note about health damage in this build. Now for the raid or any kind of mission where it requires you to damage weak points on enemies, or like for example in the raid, the foundry rails, you got to shoot the weak points. You know when it goes ding 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 and you shoot them, and then like a little yellow star pops up, those are weak points. Now damage to health counts as damage towards those weak points. So health damage helps you do more damage against those weak points. That's why the hollow mask can be so good. So you could actually maybe put the hollow man mask on and swap the gloves with the Heroldi gloves. Now those are options. It's potential, but I didn't really want that many blues, but I'm just giving you guys the option. So health damage is really good for weak points, but I guess weak points don't really take that much to take down anyway. Maybe on NPCs it is like the big heavies. So use whatever you want. I've gone for this. It's completely up to you guys. So on the knee pads, it's quite important to use Sawyer's knee pads because we're going to be in cover to get the overwatch. So stand your ground. Cannot be staggered by explosions, which is very nice because we can keep the buff constantly, and we get extra weapon damage, which is nice. It's up to 30% weapon damage, big damage, and it actually lasts when you move. So as soon as you move, it takes the stack with you for a couple of seconds. 10 seconds after moving to be exact, which is actually really good. Let's read it quickly. Increases total weapon damage by 3% every second. You're not moving. Stacks up to 10 until you start moving, and all stacks lost 10 seconds after moving. So it lasts for 10 seconds, which is really, really nice. So make sure you guys remember that you could kind of change the build up depending on how you want to play it. If you want to go more tank, you can. But I do believe that this is a good balance. The 2 blues and the 4 reds. You could still do a lot of damage, but you're not squishy. So make sure you guys just remember that. So we're going to go through the skills. Now I've gone for the Blinder Firefly because it doesn't actually matter what skill you use. You can use a Reviver Hive, a Decoy, whatever you guys want. But I used it because to proc Vindictive, they need to be on status effect. To be honest, guys, you can either use Firefly. I also use the Sticky Bomb, the EMP Sticky Bomb, which actually lasts for quite long, and it's good for the dogs, any kind of mini tanks or electronic like vehicles in the game, any kind of robots. You can disable them and it allows you to do damage to them, and it counts as a status effect, so you can proc Vindictive quite often. So I do recommend utilizing the Sticky Bomb, the EMP, but like I said, you can actually use whatever skill you want with this game. Just try and use skills that help your teammates a bit better. When you're modding these things, it doesn't really matter, as long as you guys know that skill haste will be, like, to be honest, duration might be better than skill haste, so I'm going to put that on there. So yeah, it's completely up to you what kind of skills you want to use, but just remember, having one that procs a status effect would be ideal. On the stats, we're going to go through it. Now, the crit chance is not what we care about. It's all about the headshot. 217% headshot damage, which doesn't sound like much, but it is quite a significant amount, especially because, you know, it is an SVD and my one isn't the best rolled. You can even use the White Death. Like I said, you kind of want to be spamming the weapon. So there's a whole bunch of other options that you guys can use. We also have a bit of weapon handling, which is nice. And look at the stability, 56%, which does help with the SVD. I'm going to scroll through the other items in case you want to have a quick squiz through. Just pause the video if you guys want to check it out. It doesn't really matter. And yeah, that's going to be it for the support damage build. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I really do love this build, and let me know what you think in the comments. Like always, leave a like, subscribe, click that notification bell, and I'll be seeing everybody in the next video. Peace out, agents.